Alrighty then, welcome to the stream. Sleeping Dogfish here, and we are looking for our wiggly-faced friend, Zur. He's back in town today, and we're gonna go find him. Actually, I already did find him, just to be perfectly honest, to save some time on this video. So he's down over by the Crucible Quartermaster today. Here he is, hanging out, and he's got some, well, to be honest for me, mostly disappointing stuff. Nothing super duper exciting, but you know, we work with what we got. All right, so first of all, he's got a legacy helmet engram for for helmets. So anybody that if you're looking for one of your old helmets from year one that you just haven't found yet, this might be a good buy. But man, 29 strange coins, is it really worth it? Probably not. So, that's generally a solid pass. For Titans, he's got the Peregrine Greaves. These can be kind of fun, especially if you like shoulder charge, of course. The benefit in these is that when you launch a shoulder charge from the air, you do bonus damage, and it's actually quite a bit of bonus damage. So if you are using these in PvE, you can definitely get some good bonus out of that. You'll be, you know, smacking down stuff pretty well. These ones also have the arc double down, so that's pretty handy. In PvP, they can be pretty useful. You can actually, from what I've heard, you can actually shut down supers with these boots on. But the downside is when you're using those, you're cutting yourself off of armamentarium and other really good Titan exotics. So it's kind of like, is it really worth it? To me, probably not, but if you really like shoulder charge, it might be worth messing around with. And they can be just kind of fun, too. For hunters, he's got the Crest of Alpha Lupi. And this week he's got it with Void Armor, Void Burden Defense, so nice for Night Stalkers. Crest of Alpha Lupi used to be very good for Trials of Osiris back in the day. It's not necessarily as good anymore because they have nerfed it a bit. But essentially what it does is you can revive your teammates faster. You can be revived faster. So both of those are very good. And supers will generate an extra orb. So pretty useful for those kind of small fire team type situations where you do have revival, and even in things like the raid. But it might be better to go with an exotic for hunters where you're not forced to die to get much of a benefit from it. Plus, it only generates one extra orb. Most of the time, not necessarily all that exciting. It helps your team a little bit, but one extra orb a lot of times isn't going to make that big of a difference. So it might not be worth switching out for something else that you already have, especially if you're planning on using this on a void slinging hunter. Definitely not one of the best options. For Warlocks, he's actually got one of the better chest pieces available, the Void Fang Vestments. And this week he's got it with Void Armor and Arc Burn Defense. So what this will do is if you are fond of those Axion bolts that chase down your enemies, it'll spawn actually one more Seeker in there. So instead of two, there'll be three. That means you can hit more enemies with it, which can be pretty useful in environments like PvE where there's a lot of different enemies around. But in PvP, I find most of the time I'm not throwing it into groups of three. So I don't usually get as much of a benefit out of it then, but it could still be pretty useful for you. The main benefit of this piece that people get excited about and that makes it usable by any Warlock is that when you're using this, you always spawn with full grenade energy. So, especially in Crucible, that's pretty handy, especially if you're prone to dying a lot. You can get a lot of benefit out of this. Because you can be constantly throwing grenades. And this works for any grenade, even if you are a Voidwalker and you don't want to use the Seekers, you can use any of your other grenades and it'll still work. You'll still spawn with full grenade energy, so it's still pretty beneficial for you. Again, though, this is one of those pieces where it requires you to be dying to get much benefit out of it. So, well, but the only problem is there's not a whole lot of other good options for the Voidwalkers. But a lot of the gauntlets are pretty good. I might lean to one of those, something like um, the Nothing Manacles or uh, what are those? Claws of Ahamkara. Couldn't think of the name all of a sudden. Alright, and lastly, the one that I'm actually fairly excited about is the fourth Horseman. Now, this gun is not necessarily all that much of a workhorse. You probably won't run into this in the Crucible very often. It's not necessarily all that beneficial for things like that. But what it is just a lot of fun. Look at that nutty rate of fire. And the whole deal with this is that it can be fired in full auto mode. It's got like 5 barrels on it, I believe. You can kind of see the fifth one is buried in the midst of everything else. And so, I don't know, it's just got this kind of old-timey feel to it. And you can just unload this thing super fast. It's got final round, so that last bullet in the magazine that comes out crazy fast does extra damage, always fun. You almost need hand loaded on this just because your range is so poor on this gun. And then return to sender, if you get kills with this, you do have a chance of getting 1 bullet back. I also highly recommend going with either field choke. I don't know there's a whole lot of difference between these two. It's been a little while since I've done it. I guess I would probably do field choke. Or, well, yeah, either one. I think field choke gives you a little bit more range, if I'm remembering correctly. But just always, try to up that range as much as possible. But anyways, this gun, not necessarily the best for Crucible or anything like that. You might have some fun with it in there, but it is really fun in PvE, and it's not like an amazing gun. If you don't have a ton of strange coins laying around, it might not be worthwhile for you to pick it up. However, if you have a bunch sitting around like I do and you don't really care about it so much, it's kind of a fun gun to use. And I actually have had one a while ago, but I ended up deleting mine. Alright, the other stuff he's got is not a toy for Zalo Supercell, and I actually don't have my Zalo Supercell on me, and I don't have a quick way to pull that up, I don't think. Well, let me see. No, I don't. Alright. Anyways, it gives it this kind of slightly camo-ish look to it, but it's kind of a weird camo with yellow in there. And so I'm not really all that crazy about it. There's other better looking options for the Zalo Supercell. Then for Nemesis Star, which I actually still don't have. Thanks, Bungie. This one gives it a kind of dusted, silvery look to it. It looks like kind of looks like it was an airplane that has been in a bunch of battles and the front's all weathered and everything. So it's pretty cool looking, kind of fun, and definitely worth picking up in my opinion. But that's basically it. That's what our wiggly-faced friend Zur has. If this video was helpful for you, if you enjoyed this, if you found this useful and want to see more of me doing stuff like this, I make Destiny videos, Titanfall videos. I've been playing a bunch of Overwatch lately. Drop me a like on this video, drop me a like on Facebook, or follow me on Twitch, and we will see you around. Hope you had fun, and looking forward to seeing more of you. Thanks.